It's not your salary that makes you rich. It's your habits. That single line from The Art of Saving Money by Manoj Arora feels simple, yet it exposes a truth many of us ignore. We chase promotions, higher pay, and better titles, believing income will bring freedom. But month after month, the same question returns. Where did it all go? What if the real secret to wealth isn't about earning more, but about managing what you already have? With purpose, awareness, and discipline. Welcome to Book Play, where we turn powerful books into powerful life changes. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you never miss a life-changing lesson from the books that can transform your mindset. In this episode, we explore The Art of Saving Money, a book that reveals why even high earners often struggle and how anyone can build lasting financial freedom by mastering small, consistent decisions. It's not a lecture on cutting expenses, it's a guide to transforming your mindset, from consumer to creator, from spender to saver, from pressure to peace. Through the journey of Aiden, a young professional standing at the crossroads between comfort and control, we'll witness what happens when you stop chasing wealth and start building it. Because freedom isn't something you buy, it's something you build, step by step, decision by decision. Aiden is 28. He lives in a city that never slows down. Traffic, meetings, deadlines, notifications. He works as a marketing executive in a growing tech company. The job pays decently, the office buzzes with ambition, and on paper, he looks successful. He rents a nice apartment, drives a modest car, and posts pictures from weekend trips. His friends call him sorted. But every month, when the salary arrives, the same cycle begins. Bills, rent, food, small indulgences. And within weeks, the balance fades away. Each month ends with the same question. Where did it all go? It's not that Aiden spends recklessly. He just doesn't notice it happening. A lunch here, a gadget there, a streaming upgrade, another delivery. Nothing feels excessive, yet somehow nothing remains. He tells himself he'll start saving next month. He tries apps, spreadsheets, a few online tips, but something unexpected always arrives. A friend's birthday, a sale, a sudden expense, and his plan collapses again. He feels frustrated, but hides it behind a smile. Everyone around him seems to live the same way, spending freely, chasing upgrades, believing that someday more income will fix everything. Late at night, scrolling through his phone, he sees others buying cars, traveling, celebrating. The pictures blur into pressure. Each one whispers, "You're falling behind." To quiet that voice, he buys something too. A dinner, a new watch, a new phone. For a few hours it feels good. Then guilt takes over. Sometimes he remembers his parents, how carefully they saved, how deliberate they were with money. He once thought they were too cautious. But now he wonders if they understood something he never learned. That peace doesn't come from earning more, but from needing less. Weeks pass. His salary rises slightly, but so do his expenses. His life is comfortable, yet unstable. Always one unexpected bill away from worry. He's not broke, but he isn't growing. It's like running on a treadmill that never stops. One quiet evening after a long day, Aiden sits by his window with coffee in hand. The city hums outside. He opens his banking app. Again, the numbers disappoint him. Rent is due soon, savings are low. He exhales deeply. I work so hard, he thinks, but why does it never feel enough? Without thinking, he types, "How to save money effectively." Dozens of search results flood the screen, quick hacks, investment tricks, complicated plans. He scrolls without feeling inspired. Then one title catches his eye. The Art of Saving Money by Manoj Arora. Something about those words, the art of saving, feels different. Saving has always sounded mechanical, like a sacrifice, but art suggests balance, choice, even freedom. He clicks. The description reads, "This book isn't about cutting corners. It's about transforming the way you think about money. For the first time in a long while, Aiden feels hope. He orders the book that night. When it arrives, he studies the cover for a moment. It looks calm, simple, almost reassuring. He flips through pages filled with unfamiliar but intriguing ideas. Induced consumption, the Diderot effect, the try-check system. He doesn't understand everything yet, but something about it feels right. That night he starts reading. Each page holds a mirror to his life, the mindless spending, the need to compare, the stress of keeping up. Yet instead of judgment, the author offers clarity. He explains why people spend the way they do, how small shifts in awareness can build wealth and freedom over time. Aiden pauses often, underlining sentences that resonate. He begins to see patterns, how each purchase he once called a reward was really just a distraction. He closes the first chapter and leans back. Outside, the city lights glow softly. For the first time, he doesn't feel guilty or lost. He feels seen. He realizes saving might not be about money at all. It's about control, peace, and purpose. Maybe wealth isn't built by earning more, but by understanding what truly matters. He smiles quietly, closing the book. The noise in his head finally softens. He doesn't have all the answers yet, but he's found direction. He whispers, "This time I'm going to understand money, not just make it." And in that simple promise, Aiden's transformation begins. Not with a raise, not with luck, but with awareness and the decision to change. When Aiden picked up The Art of Saving Money, he expected another generic guide about budgets, cuts, and sacrifices, the kind of advice he had already tried and abandoned many times before. But what he discovered in Manoj Arora's words was something different, something deeper. This wasn't a book about money alone. It was a book about mindset, about behavior, about self-awareness. Arora begins with a powerful truth. Financial struggle rarely comes from low income. It comes from low awareness. We don't fail to save because we lack resources. We fail because we've been conditioned to spend without reflection. Through simple language and relatable examples, Arora uncovers the invisible psychology behind our choices. He shows how the world around us, advertising, trends, peer pressure, quietly shapes what we buy and how we measure success. We end up spending not to fulfill needs, but to match expectations. And that's where the book stands apart. Instead of preaching restriction, the art of saving, money introduces a philosophy of freedom through control. It teaches that every decision, every coffee, gadget, or luxury is an opportunity to practice awareness. Saving, Arora says, is not about denying pleasure. It's about aligning spending with purpose. The book presents several practical systems to help readers build that awareness. The Quadra Kit, which helps you question whether a purchase adds long-term value to your life or simply satisfies a momentary urge. The Try-Check system, which encourages you to assess each expense in terms of time, money, and energy, the three currencies of modern life. And the idea of induced consumption, which explains how emotional and social triggers subtly push us towards spending more than we intend. Each concept is simple but powerful, small tools that collectively change the way you think. What makes Arora's approach unique is its human touch. He doesn't talk down to the reader or promise overnight wealth. Instead, he guides you through a gradual inner shift, from unconscious spending to conscious living. The book argues that saving is not just a financial skill, it's a life skill. It reflects discipline, patience, and foresight, qualities that influence not only your bank balance, but also your peace of mind. For Aiden, each page feels like a mirror. He begins to see that every impulse he once called reward was actually a reaction to stress, comparison, or the need for validation. And as he reads, the fog begins to lift. The Art of Saving Money doesn't promise wealth without work. It promises clarity, the kind of clarity that helps you design a stable, fulfilling, and independent future. By the time Aiden finishes the first few chapters, he realizes something life-changing. Money doesn't control him anymore. His choices do. And that's the heart of this book. Transforming money from a source of stress into a tool for freedom, confidence, and peace. Lesson number 1. Know the difference between needs and wants. True financial control begins when you can clearly separate what you need from what you simply want. Aiden closes the book after the first chapter and leans back, feeling a mix of curiosity, guilt, and determination. He begins to reflect on his own spending habits and realizes with surprising clarity how much of his money has gone toward things that brought only temporary satisfaction. That sleek new phone he upgraded every year, the weekend brunches that left his wallet lighter than expected, the online subscriptions he rarely used, all of these were choices driven not by necessity, but by impulse, habit, or a desire to feel successful in the eyes of others. For the first time, he starts to examine his daily spending with intention. Each purchase becomes a question. Do I really need this, or do I just want it? At first, this exercise feels uncomfortable. He notices just how automatic many of his decisions have been. The coffee on the way to work, the lunch out with colleagues, the small gadgets he added to his cart without thinking. Each want that slips through feels like a small betrayal of the bigger goal he has been struggling to achieve, gaining control over his financial life. As Aiden continues, patterns emerge. He sees that the temporary satisfaction from impulse purchases rarely lasts longer than a day or two, yet the stress of overspending lingers much longer. A spontaneous buy might feel exciting in the moment, but later it leaves him with a quiet sense of regret and a nagging worry about his finances. Each unnecessary purchase chips away at his sense of freedom, making it harder for him to save or plan for what truly matters. Yet with every pause and deliberate evaluation, Aiden feels a growing sense of empowerment. He discovers that being intentional about spending is not about deprivation, it is about choice. Even small victories like skipping an unnecessary coffee or delaying the purchase of a new gadget for a week make him feel stronger, more in control, and more aware of his own decisions. Aiden begins a simple habit. Before spending, he pauses, asks the question, and reflects. Often he finds that the urge to spend diminishes, revealing how many of his purchases were impulsive or influenced by others. Over time, this habit begins to reshape not only his wallet, but his mindset. His money lasts longer, financial stress decreases, and he gains a quiet confidence that he can handle his finances thoughtfully rather than reactively. He also starts noticing the subtle triggers that push him toward unnecessary spending, advertisements, social media trends, even casual conversations with friends. By observing these influences without judgment, he learns to respond rather than react, gradually turning awareness into mastery. By distinguishing needs from wants, Aiden takes the first meaningful step toward conscious spending. This clarity is not just about money, it is about discipline, empowerment, and freedom. And as he continues this practice, he realizes that awareness alone is only the beginning. To truly transform his financial life, he must learn to build consistent habits that support saving and long-term growth. This understanding naturally leads him to the next lesson: make saving a habit. Lesson number 2. Make saving a habit. Aiden closes the first chapter and feels a quiet sense of accomplishment. He has begun to understand the difference between needs and wants, but he quickly realizes that awareness alone won't create lasting change. Knowing what to avoid is one thing. Building a consistent habit of saving is something entirely different. At first, the idea feels intimidating. Aiden worries he doesn't earn enough to make a real difference, or fears that setting aside money regularly will force him to give up the small pleasures that make life enjoyable. But as he reads further, the book reminds him that saving isn't about deprivation. It's about creating small, repeatable actions that over time compound into meaningful results. He decides to start modestly, Each month, a fixed portion of his income is automatically transferred into a separate savings account. Initially, the transfer feels strange. Seeing the money leave his main account triggers a twinge of anxiety, as if he's temporarily losing control. Yet as the weeks go by, the action becomes routine, non-negotiable, like brushing his teeth or making his morning coffee. Slowly, saving stops feeling like a chore and begins to feel like a deliberate choice, a quiet victory that reinforces his growing self-discipline. Aiden notices subtle but powerful changes in how he feels about money. Where he once opened his bank app with anxiety and doubt, he now feels a quiet sense of pride and control. He begins to visualize what his consistent saving could achieve: a safety net for emergencies, a professional course to advance his career, or even the freedom to travel without worry. Each small deposit becomes more than numbers in an account. It becomes a tangible step toward the life he wants to live. Over time, he discovers the true power of consistency. Even modest amounts saved regularly accumulate significantly and create momentum. He learns that occasional slip-ups, a missed transfer, or an unexpected expense are not failures, but opportunities to recommit. The focus shifts from perfection to persistence, and with each passing month, Aiden's confidence in his ability to manage money grows steadily. As saving becomes habitual, Aiden also starts observing his spending habits more critically. He notices little triggers that prompt unnecessary purchases: an attractive social media ad, the casual suggestion of a friend, or the pull of instant gratification. By coupling his awareness of needs versus wants with his automatic savings habit, he begins to navigate these pressures with clarity. Each decision to save rather than spend becomes an act of empowerment, reinforcing his sense of agency over his financial life. Aiden also realizes that building a saving habit reshapes his mindset beyond money. It influences how he approaches challenges, sets goals, and values his time and energy. By embedding saving into his daily routine, he is no longer at the mercy of circumstance or impulse. Instead, he feels disciplined, capable, and in control of shaping his future. The real transformation comes from the emotional shift. Saving is no longer about restriction, it becomes about freedom. Freedom to make choices aligned with his priorities. Freedom to feel secure, and freedom to pursue meaningful opportunities without stress or regret. The habit of saving strengthens his self-trust and reinforces the belief that small, consistent actions truly create lasting change. With saving now a natural part of his life, Aiden feels ready to confront the next challenge: the subtle but persistent pressures to spend unnecessarily, often disguised as convenience, social influence, or fleeting desire. This understanding naturally leads him to the next lesson: avoid spending traps. Lesson number 3: avoid spending traps. Aiden has started to understand the importance of conscious spending and the power of making saving a habit. His confidence is growing, but the book warns him that awareness and habits alone are not enough. Money has subtle ways of slipping through even the most careful hands, often disguised as convenience, impulse, or social pressure. These are the spending traps that quietly erode financial progress. At first, Aiden doesn't notice how pervasive these traps are. The late-night online sales, flashy advertisements, limited-time offers, or even the casual suggestion from a friend to try a new restaurant, all of these seem harmless. But as he reflects, he realizes how frequently these small moments lead to unnecessary spending. Each purchase feels justified in isolation, yet over time they add up, quietly undermining the progress he has worked so hard to build. He begins to observe patterns. Most of these traps trigger emotional reactions: excitement, fear of missing out, or the desire to belong. Aiden notices that when he's tired, stressed, or distracted, these impulses feel stronger. Recognizing this, he starts to develop strategies to shield himself. He unsubscribes from promotional emails, avoids scrolling online shopping apps late at night, and sets personal rules for purchases that require thoughtful consideration. It's not easy at first. There are moments of temptation that test his resolve. A new gadget, a trendy coffee, or a spontaneous invitation that involves spending. Yet, with each avoided trap, he experiences a subtle but profound sense of empowerment. By resisting the immediate gratification, he strengthens his self-control and reinforces his commitment to his long-term goals. Aiden also learns to reframe his perspective. Instead of seeing restrictions as limitations, he begins to view them as choices that serve his bigger purpose. Saying no to an unnecessary expense is no longer about denial, it is an intentional act of protecting his future. Each small victory compounds, making it easier to navigate future temptations with clarity and confidence. He also finds that accountability helps. Sharing his financial goals with a trusted friend or keeping a visual chart of his savings, progress gives him motivation and reinforces positive behavior. The more conscious he becomes, the more he notices how small, consistent actions can prevent slipping into these subtle spending traps. Over time, Aiden develops a rhythm: awareness, pause, evaluation, and intentional action. He sees that avoiding spending traps is not about perfection, mistakes will happen, but about creating a disciplined approach that consistently favors his long-term well-being. Each avoided trap strengthens his self-confidence and nurtures the habit of mindful financial decision-making. Through this process, he realizes that these small, everyday choices accumulate into a significant advantage over time. By identifying and avoiding spending traps, Aiden gains not just financial stability, but a deeper sense of freedom and control. He feels prepared to tackle the next stage of his financial journey, increasing his income and maximizing his resources. This naturally leads him to the next lesson: increase your income. Lesson number 4: increase your income. By now, Aiden has built awareness around his spending, established a habit of saving, and learned to avoid common spending traps. But as he flips through the next chapter of The Art of Saving Money, he realizes that controlling expenses is only half the equation. To truly achieve financial growth, he must also focus on increasing his income. At first, the idea feels daunting. Aiden worries he doesn't have the skills, time, or energy to take on more work or generate additional revenue. He imagines that income growth requires drastic changes: a new job, a promotion, or a side business, and he wonders if it's even possible for someone like him. Yet, the book emphasizes that income growth doesn't have to be sudden or overwhelming. Even small, intentional steps can create meaningful results over time. Aiden begins by evaluating his existing skills and opportunities. He notices tasks at work where he excels, projects where he can add extra value, and areas where learning something new could make him more competitive. He also considers side projects he has always been interested in but never pursued: freelance writing, online tutoring, or small-scale consulting. Each idea sparks excitement, coupled with nervous anticipation, as he imagines turning them into viable sources of additional income. Taking the first step is the hardest. Aiden chooses a small, manageable project outside of work, freelance writing on a topic he enjoys. The initial weeks are filled with uncertainty, self-doubt, and learning curves, but he persists. Each successful assignment builds not only extra income, but also confidence in his ability to create opportunities for himself. Slowly, he begins to see that increasing income is not a single leap, but a series of deliberate, consistent actions. At the same time, Aiden realizes that mindset is just as important as action. He starts reframing the way he thinks about money and opportunity. Rather than feeling restricted by his current salary or environment, he begins to focus on possibilities: skills he can acquire, clients he can reach, and value he can offer. This shift in perspective transforms anxiety into motivation, fear into curiosity, and hesitation into action. He also learns to balance effort and sustainability. Taking on more work isn't about overexertion, it's about identifying high-impact opportunities and leveraging his strengths. Aiden schedules his projects carefully, sets boundaries to avoid burnout, and tracks his progress meticulously. He sees that even small, consistent income increases compound over time, just like his saving habit. As weeks pass, Aiden experiences a sense of liberation. The combination of controlled spending, disciplined saving, and additional income gives him a tangible sense of financial stability and freedom. He feels empowered not only because of the money he is earning, but because of the skills, resilience, and confidence he is developing along the way. By focusing on increasing his income, Aiden understands that financial growth is an active process. It requires intentionality, learning, and persistence. But with each step, he is building a stronger foundation for the future, one where opportunities, security, and choice are within his reach. This naturally prepares him for the final lesson of the book: invest for the future. Lesson number 5. Invest for the future. Aiden has come a long way. He has built a habit of saving, learned to avoid spending traps, and started generating additional income. Yet as he reads the final chapters of The Art of Saving Money, he realizes that true financial growth is incomplete without putting his money to work. Saving and earning are vital, but investing ensures that his efforts today can create security, freedom, and opportunities in the future. At first, the concept of investing feels complex and intimidating. Words like stocks, mutual funds, bonds, and portfolios seem abstract and distant, almost like a different language. Aiden worries about the risk of losing money or making a mistake that could undo his progress. Yet the book emphasizes that investing doesn't have to be overwhelming. The key is to start small, understand the basics, and remain consistent over time. He begins by educating himself. Aiden reads about different investment options, their potential returns, and associated risks. He learns about compound interest and how even modest investments, made consistently, can grow significantly over the years. Slowly, the abstract numbers and charts begin to make sense, and he starts to see investing as a tool to amplify his financial habits rather than a gamble. Aiden starts small, opening a simple investment account and allocating a portion of his savings to a diversified portfolio. He treats it as an experiment at first, observing growth, fluctuations, and lessons along the way. Each month, he contributes a little more, allowing the habit of investing to grow alongside his saving routine. Over time, he notices the psychological shift. Money that was once idle now feels alive, working toward long-term goals. Investing also teaches Aiden patience and perspective. He learns to resist the urge for instant results, understanding that wealth is built over time through disciplined decisions. Short-term fluctuations no longer cause panic. Instead, he views them as part of the natural process of growth. The discipline he developed from saving and avoiding spending traps now extends to his investment strategy, giving him confidence and emotional steadiness. This practice also deepens his sense of purpose. Every contribution, every decision, every step becomes part of a larger vision, a future where he can live with freedom, pursue his passions, and support the people and causes that matter to him. The connection between action today and results tomorrow becomes tangible, transforming abstract financial planning into a personal mission. By the end of the book, Aiden realizes that investing is more than a financial strategy. It is a mindset. It represents foresight, responsibility, and the understanding that the small, consistent choices he makes today compound into significant outcomes over time. With investing, he is not just saving money. He's building a life designed around freedom, purpose, and opportunity. Through this final lesson, Aiden feels a profound sense of accomplishment. The journey of learning to save, spending wisely, increasing income, and investing has reshaped not only his financial reality, but also his confidence, mindset, and sense of agency. He now feels equipped to create a stable, abundant, and purposeful future. Aiden leans back in his chair, the book closed in his lap. He's traveled a long road. He's gone from reacting to every impulse, feeling behind, anxious at every bank balance, to feeling calmer, more deliberate and in control. What's changed isn't just how much money he has, but how he thinks about money, how he behaves, and how he chooses. The lessons he followed, drawn from the art of saving money, changed more than his bank account. They shifted his life. He now understands the difference between what he needs and what he wants. He's built the habit of saving before spending. He's learned to avoid the subtle traps of consumption that once pulled him off course. He's begun to increase his income, not for status or comparison, but to support his purpose. And he started investing, not simply squirreling money away, but putting his resources to work for the future. Each of these steps has brought him closer to something vital: freedom. Freedom from the endless cycle of earning and spending. Freedom from the stress of what if. Freedom to design a life that is guided by his values, not by his bank balance. He isn't just chasing bigger salaries, he's building bigger choices. And you, yes, you watching right now, this is your moment too. If you found value in this summary of the art of saving money, take a moment to reflect. What one spending habit will you question this month? What one saving habit will you commit to? If you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe to Book Play, so we can continue bringing you summaries of books that don't just inform you, but transform you. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, or a year, or 3 years. Imagine looking back at today and saying, I made a choice. I changed how I relate to money. I built habits. I aligned my spending with my priorities. What would that feel like? More calm, more options, more control over your time and your future? The truth is, you don't need to earn millions overnight. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need one decision today, one small step. Move a portion of your next paycheck into savings. Pause before your next purchase and ask, need or want? That step may feel tiny today, but over time it becomes mighty. The habit forms. The urge to spend loses power. Your choices become clearer. Your future self thanks you. Real wealth begins in your habits, your mindset, your decisions, not just in your income. Your values should guide your spending. Your intentions should guide your savings. Your discipline should guide your freedom. You are not bound to your salary. You are bound to your habits and decisions. And the best part, habits are malleable. You can change them. You are changeable. Aiden closes the book and opens a new chapter of his life. He realizes that the journey doesn't end here. It evolves. With the lessons from the book as his compass and his actions as his map, he's on a path toward greater financial freedom and personal growth. Not because he's earned more, but because he's mastered how he uses what he earns. Not because others see his success, but because he knows it. Today, you're invited to join that path. Reflect on your financial habits. Choose one behavior to start changing. Commit one rule. Whatever it is, make it simple, make it measurable. Maybe it's, I will save 10% of every income credited. Maybe it's, before any non-essential purchase, I will wait 72 hours. Whatever it is, let your decision be rooted in your values, not in the pressure around you. If you'd like support, leave a comment below. Which lesson resonated most? What action will you take this week? Because the journey is better when shared. We build more when we learn from each other. Thank you for watching, and thank you for investing in yourself. The fact that you paused this video, gave these thoughts your time, that matters. Your future self will thank you for this moment. May you step into your future with vision, intention, and the quiet confidence that you are capable of change. The book's pages may close, but your story is just beginning. So here's to your next payday. Here's to your next decision. Here's to the future you're choosing. One small step, one consistent habit, one intentional decision at a time. Because in the end, freedom isn't something you buy, it's something you build. And you're already starting.